Hi, my name is Jessie Ann Hibbard, and I am currently a special education teacher at Centennial Junior High, working in the social behavioral unit. I have been teaching for the last 12 years. My career began as a music teacher, but after studying educational psychology and getting a master's in that from George Mason, and then I went to UCSB and worked on a PhD in school psychology. I found that that was not the right path for me, but spent a year and a half working on clinical experiences, and then came back, specialized in special education, and have since been working on that. I love education, and I truly love working with special education population. I love seeing their growth and the difference that strong, effective interventions and accommodations and modifications can make in an individual's life. So why I want to work online? To be honest, COVID kind of scares me. I love teaching. I'm willing to go back, but I know I will be a better teacher online. When I think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the second one is safety. And those who are choosing to go online as students, a lot of the reason is because they don't feel safe. And I'm with them. It's a little uncertain, and I know that Davis School District is doing everything they can to ensure our safety. But teaching online and having our students online makes it just even that much more safe. So I will be more effective by being online because I won't be worrying about that. Instead, what I really will be worrying about is making sure my students are progressing, that their individual needs are being addressed, and that they are receiving the best education regardless of the platform. Because I do believe that if we have strong online skills, which I believe I do and I've worked on developing especially over the summer, that our students will be able to receive what they need to be able to progress. So special education teaching, I've worked in a junior high school setting for most of the time, but I did work in elementary starting off for just a short period of time, and it's actually what introduced me to special education. I'm comfortable working in elementary because that's where I spent the first 6 years teaching music, and that 1 year teaching special education. But the last 3 will be 4, starting 4 would be in a secondary setting in a junior high. Ways that I have supported my students during self-closure. I met with them, some of them daily, some of them weekly, depending on their preference and their needs, and also discussing with the parents what was their preference and what was their needs. I was on every single student's Canvas page to ensure that they understood what was being required of them, what was being asked of them, and to make sure that they received the support that they needed to be successful in those classes. If accommodations and modifications were needed, then I worked with the teacher to make sure what accommodations and modifications both I felt that the student needed, but also what the teacher felt was acceptable. And as we worked and collaborated together, we were able to separate what can the student really do versus what they won't do, and what do they need to be truly successful. Other ways that I included is a lot of engagement using Nearpod, using Flipgrid. I had a lot of videos of myself teaching, which I guess was really nuanced for a lot of teachers. I frequently went back and asked my students what did they feel like they needed from me to be successful. And they said the one thing that was helpful in my class that had been hard in other classes is the videos that I had created and put on my Canvas page to help support their learning, and also having those video conference calls on a regular basis. And so that was great for me. The hardest part I found was motivating some of my students where the families weren't engaged in that. And so that would be something I would want to work on, is trying to figure out other ways that we can engage and motivate students to learn in an online platform. And I have a lot of ideas about that, but just to mention that real quickly. So some of the ways that accommodations were used online is using Microsoft Edge, having things read out loud to them. In math, making sure that we were breaking things down, creating videos that were more explanatory. I used iExcel. I actually bought that for my students and paid for it for myself because I found that their instructions were super helpful for my students, and the data was amazing, and I was able to progress monitor them on a daily basis based off of that, creating quizzes on Nearpod, finding different resources just to be able to support their needs, but then shortening assignments. So if math assignment had like 30 questions, I was more aiming to make sure that they had mastery over just completing the whole assignment. So I might cut out a few questions or whatnot. I also had a student who was transferred to an AAC classroom at the end of the year. His grade level was about 4 years below, especially in math and reading. And so modifying the curriculum, so making sure that it was in student-friendly language, that he understood it, more project-based. So mom went and got like Play-Doh and we created a cell online, and I had one and he had one and we did it together and we're able to label it and whatnot. And just making sure that like what was read on Canvas, we'd go through it together and then I would explain it a little bit more. I might find a video to include that it was fun to watch and help them understand it a little bit better. So, and then ways that I have supported my students not online, when we're not online, is really a big thing is checking again on their Canvas, looking at their homework, and I also do that on just online platform, structuring those lessons or structuring their homework to make sure that they understand what's being asked of them, and then I'm also making sure that they're working on that. I use Read 180 for reading skills. When we're not online, I really like sitting next to them and reading a book and discussing it, whatever's on their grade level. But that can also be done online. And then also understanding if their Lexile score is below 500, teaching those phonics skills. And I actually think that'll be easier online right now because with everyone wearing masks, it's going to be hard to demonstrate how the mouth should be formed, especially sounds like so doing that online, that way they'll be able to see my face and be able to understand it, and I can do it through video conferencing and make sure that they're going back and forth and truly understanding those types of things. So 3 strengths from me, 3 teaching strengths that set me apart from others. Well, 1, I have clinical skills. So behavior is a strength of mine. I understand how to moderate behavior. I understand how to work with my students, give them rationales, and motivate them to change their behavior. So that's something that I've been really successful at. 2, I'm really good at teaching phonemic awareness, something that I didn't realize that I realized in the last year, where I'm 1 class away from my reading endorsement and I need to take the praxis. That was something I really paid attention to in my reading endorsement classes because I knew that it was something my students needed to be successful. And as other teachers special ed teachers have actually asked me to teach their phonics skills for their students and compared it to online, they were able to show that there really wasn't too much of a difference, but actually receiving the instruction from me was actually a little bit better than Read 180 or the other phonics things that were available. So that was something really cool that I learned about. So behavior is a strength of mine, teaching phonemic awareness, and then also identifying my students' strengths and weaknesses. I think that sometimes that can be hard, but I'm really big on collaborating with teachers, with parents. Working with parents is a strength, but working and collaborating, because I understand triangulation is really the best way that we're going to be able to aggregate that data to be able to make database decisions to support our students. And so everyone who comes to that table, they're going to have a different perspective, and that perspective is so valued. And when we combine all of those ideas, then we're really being able to sparse out those strengths and weaknesses, and then also checking with the students. Sometimes they really do know their weaknesses and they're hard to talk about, but when we create a safe place and I talk about the weaknesses that I have, they feel safer to be able to talk about those, and then we're able to really address, well, what are the goals that we have and how are we going to reach that? So making sure my students are progressing is something that I am pretty good at. So thanks so much for watching this video. I wish you good luck in your selection process. It sounds like a crazy time for you guys too, and I hope you guys are staying healthy and staying safe, and of course having that connection with other humans that's so important, but doing so in a way that makes you feel safe. So thanks so much.